So Seattle's CHAZ / CHOP, okay, Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone or Capitol Hill Occupied Protest, is not a violent Antifa paradise. Donald Trump and the right-wing media propaganda have been saying that that's what they are. They've been trying to twist the narrative. A lot of people, including some libertarians and some certain people that Pasta really loves, have swallowed this propaganda. And I'm talking about Miss Syrian Girl. She started talking about how comparing basically Antifa to the Kurdish #YPG.
Just so you know.
Okay, awesome. And she said, been telling you for years, Antifa will try to recreate the Kurdish Autonomous Zone, Rojava, in the U.S. Trump backed them, and now you have #Seattle Autonomous Zone. And here she's retweeting the Kurdish YPG and saying that those are Antifa. They call themselves anarcho-communists, and that this is the same as what's happening in Seattle Autonomous Zone. So that's her point of view. And then she also said that the gardening. So like the gardening element of CHOP comes from the philosophy of the Zionist kibbutz autonomous zones. Now, I think there was one part of the garden where they had said, oh, this is only for like black people or people, natives, blah, blah, blah. I think she's talking about that. And she's comparing the gardens to the Zionists, because the Zionists are using only gardens for Jewish people in Palestine. The problem I have with this is when you start comparing people who are anti-fascist or people who are really leftist and who are against the government to fascists or Nazis, it is a very dangerous thing, because now everybody that protests the current status quo could be pushed out against that. And a lot of people that aren't in America, that aren't going to these protests, that aren't seeing what's happening, they may have a great outlook on foreign policy, but they don't really know what's happening right now on the ground here. And here's the truth. So this is Shama Sawant, and she spoke about what was happening in Gaza. She clarified what they feel, because they've been attacked and told that they're a bunch of Zionists, which is, trust me, these lefty socialist people, they're so pro-Palestine, you can't even like it. Very much, I'm very much so. And she starts talking about that, and at the very, very end, she basically had said, thank you for expressing your views, council member. And this is Kashama Sawant, and this is where she clarified her stance on the Israel-Palestine conflict, which I think it's decent, but it doesn't even go as far as I would go. She said, just for the record, I would like to remind everyone that in my statement, I condemn both sides and I don't condone violence of any kind. That is my opinion. I think it's necessary for us to acknowledge the complete lack of proportion between the violence that Hamas is capable of and the violence that has been inflicted by the Israeli state on Palestine. And that's my view. And a lot of people are trying to say that these people that Kashama Sawant led into this area, and if you guys don't know what it is, it's basically an area that's pushed, it's kind of like capped off from Capitol Hill in Seattle. You know, Capitol Hill, where Jeff Bezos' shit is and all that. It's one of the more expensive areas of Seattle, and they basically created this zone where police can't go to. So that's basically all it is, and it's just a safety zone where the police can't come in. And I told Pasta I'm moving there. And so the reality is very different. So I'm going to read some of the people who have been there and what they're saying compared to what the media is putting out. They're calling them anarchists. They're calling them Antifa. And this is from Taylor, a showcase of solidarity and humanity in Capitol Hill. And she just has a bunch of pictures. They basically just have food, fruit. It's kind of like a little socialist sort of haven. And it's very peaceful. There really isn't any violence. It says, welcome to CHOP, Capitol Hill Occupied Protest. Please stay, enjoy your stay. Then they have pretty much a mural there in the middle of the city. And then they just have a bunch of people. You can go in there. Anybody can go in there. And this is this person right here. I just want to read their tweet. And they said, if you are protesting or helping hold or build a community around CHOP Seattle, please post what you see. We need to combat the spread of misinformation that the MAGA 20 bigots are driving. We're peaceful and it's hard pill to swallow. So again, it's this whole idea that these people are not peaceful. It's this whole idea that they're these Antifa people. And there's this gentleman there that got interviewed by this the stranger.com, and he was talking about the gardens. And he's explaining here that what we heard, Johnny, at the protest in Hollywood, where a lot of black people are trying to really like take, since reparations aren't happening, they're basically trying to get more investment in black businesses because there's not that many, and those small businesses are suffering a lot. Farming is one way of doing that, and so they're trying to farm and kind of show that, you know, this is what we need to do. This is what we're going to start growing our own food. We're going to start investing in our own communities. And some people are taking that as being segregationist. I don't think so, because it's a protest. You're in a city where you're protesting what's happening on the outside. So really, it's not something that is employed at a federal or even state level. It is something that they're protesting. They're protesting police brutality. And I don't really see a problem with that. I don't get triggered by it because I don't see... they're protesting. And there is this video here. They're building more infrastructure for farms. So they're trying to like create this sort of like self-sufficient little thing. But it's
socialist utopia of sorts.
Not even. It's more of a protest zone, if anything.
Yeah.
And we have our friend Larry Alger
trying to figure out what's going on there. I want to know what's actually going on in there. Because we see a lot of this stuff going on, but I mean, the whole mentality of saying not letting cops in, is that kind of triggering some type of tragic action, like some type of event, some type of...
Why would they let cops in if they're protesting cops?
I understand that, but by saying we're not letting cops in, it seems like you're trying to maybe cause an event, to cause something to happen. When you're saying don't come in here...
I don't agree with that. They're protesting because the cops did I don't know if you saw the part where the cops tear gassed them and violated the Geneva Convention.
No, I know.
Right.
I know
so
that.
That's kind of why they're not fond of the flag. So they were like, hey, you don't come in here with your flag as an agitator, and try to rile up some shit by bringing in your flag. I mean, it's a protest. You're not supposed to be welcoming of the police in your protests. I don't really see what the problem is.
Denying the police coming in, it seems like you're going to cause a situation where they're going to come in.
Like, it's a protest. I don't understand why, like, it's such a big deal. And so they're protesting that. And here, I just wanted to put what somebody else said in response to Syrian girl's tweets. They said, I follow and support you, but you're wrong about Seattle. I live here. My daughter is active in the zone. There are no trained Antifa. Mm-hmm. Cops spent a week shooting, gassing, and macing BLM protesters, and then abandoned the precinct thinking they'd burn it down. They didn't. So the cops thought that they would burn it down. They declared it was a free zone, set up places for homeless to live, protected the precinct from harm, and are meeting daily to create a workable space. Don't believe the hype. It's peaceful. Kids walk around and hand out free food. There are no terrorists here. You have been lied to. And this is, again, the propaganda that we see a lot of people swallow, because a lot of people always want to go to, well, George Soros funds Antifa, so George Soros must be behind this. And like, George Soros doesn't fucking run the world, you guys. I mean, you can have your issues with George Soros. He's not somebody I trust. But at the same time, you can't just automatically go to George Soros is behind every single little fucking thing that goes on in the world. And that's what I have a huge problem with. And I think, it's just dangerous, because when you're connecting people like Hitler and Nazis to socialists, which is what a lot of the right and some of the Democrats have done, it's like it's just like you're connecting all the Jews to the Zionists, and the Zionists into anti-fascists. Not all are alike, and not everybody's a monolith. We need to stop doing that. And I think a lot of the right and some of the neoliberals are trying to do just that, because they don't want to see this insurgency happen.
Well, that what you put up that last tweet too as well, it explains a little bit different, because I thought they like threw the cops out and said no cops in here. The cops abandoned the place, and they were like, okay, fine, we're going to set up shop here. We're not going to burn it down. So that gives a lot of more detail of what's going on.
And that's why I want to go there. And I know we have Larry there, and he's going to send us more footage.
Move there?
But yes, I want to live in Seattle. But aside from Seattle, I would like to visit CHOP so I can report, because what a lot of people are on the ground are saying is that the media is maligning them yet again. And I tend to take their word, because I saw what was happening here with the mainstream media and how they were maligning the protesters. And why? Because the mainstream media gets more views and more clicks the more like tension they see between people. And that's what they want to see. But they're over here saying like, we're peaceful. We're just like protesting. We created this sort of area. And, you know, these are people that are like our movement people here. They're just trying to like say something that if things were more like this, the world would be better. And I don't really see the harm in that.
Well, as long as they're not like, listen, I get fearful that they'll be antagonizing law officials to come in there by saying you're not allowed in here. That's where you get the Trumps, where the shooting starts, the looting starts, that kind of mentality. Well, he will go in there, and I've heard people say it's like a block party, guys. It's like a farmer's market meets a block party.
It is
That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? And now when you provide information saying like, listen, they abandoned that area, and the people were like, we're not going to burn it down. We're just going to take it over then. And there's kids handing out food. It's like this kind of like socialist mentality where we're taking care of each other, we're farming, we're living off the land. There's a lot of things to be learned by that, and I just hope for the safety of everybody there. Larry, get back to us. Larry, tell us what's going on. You're on the ground there, and guys, thank you for the super chat contribution. You're helping send fee to Chop.
Chop wood.
Chop wood.